Susie, to those watching, those who are maybe struggling a little bit or know that they can do more, but they're just not? What would you tell them?
I would say don't be afraid to fail. I feel like I've failed a lot in this business. I'll look back and I'm like, oh, I didn't follow up with this person and they bought. Or I was really bad on the listing presentation and they listed with someone else. But whenever those things happen, I reach out and I'm like, well, why did you choose the other agent? And I just try to get better and better. And I think that's really huge, is just always keep growing. And, you know, like even with me in social media, I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. But I was like, you know what? I need to do this. It's going to help me, you know, just always feel like you can, you know, get better and grow and learn from other people. I learn from everyone. Battlefield scars while driven in plus cars. This life is a rap star. It's nothing without God. Was born rough and rugged. I'm dressing the man public. My attitude was rugged. These motherfuckers love it. All right,
what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Happy Agent Podcast. I am Jeff Beggins, and I got a couple co-hosts today. We got my brother, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr.
Greg Beggins here, ready to serve and please.
With a beautiful
and Mike Puma.
And Mike Puma, dressed up with a sports jacket on today.
Feeling fancy. Well, I wanted to impress Susie, so this is 100% for her.
That's awesome.
I'm impressed.
Thank you.
We have Susie Brigman with us today. Susie's from our South Tampa office and is quite an interesting person, right? We'll just... And with a really cool story. She's got a great personality. She's got unbelievable client testimonials. She's just an all-around really cool, happy agent. And so we're happy to have you on the podcast today. Thanks for joining us, Susie.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me.
I think it's really fun because you're one of the people that I see, you know, Jeff talks about this all the time. We are super stoked and motivated when we watch some people make their lives better, right? And since you joined our company, you've become a whole different person. I mean, from used cars to renting houses to owning a house. I remember you bought your first Mercedes. Just all kinds of cool stuff that has happened to you along the way, and now you're at a whole different level and a whole new path. So can't wait to hear you.
Second Mercedes.
You're the second Mercedes?
Yep.
Plus you bought your boyfriend a car.
Huh?
Plus you bought your boyfriend a car.
Yep. Sports car.
All right, so take us back to before today. You're having great success right now. We're proud to have you as part of the company here. But let's go back to the New York version of you. Before you even thought about Tampa, before you thought about getting into real estate, where does Susie's story start and how did it lead you here to Tampa? I always find these stories fascinating. So turn it over to Susie. Tell us your story.
So I grew up in a very small town in New York. I decided to move to Florida. My brother was already living here. I visited him one time and made the move. I was living more in the Orlando area. I was dating my son's father and we had a baby. We moved to Tampa to actually open up a restaurant. So I helped him open up a little restaurant near USF. So I got into the restaurant business, you know, doing that, and then I moved to Cheesecake Factory. Once I started getting a little bit older, I wanted to develop a career and really focus on, you know, developing myself and, you know, getting beyond a cap. You know, once you're in a certain career field, you can only make a certain amount of money. So I wanted to get above that, live a better life. And I always wanted to get into real estate, and I always had excuses like, oh, my son's little, I have to stay home with him, I have to have a set schedule. I knew it was going to be difficult to start that business. You wouldn't make money right away. So I went into work one day, and one of the guys at work was like, hey, I just got my real estate license. And I looked at him and I was like, this guy is an idiot. I was like, he got his real estate license? I was like, well, I can definitely do that. So the next day I signed up for classes, I did night classes, and I got my license. And I started at Keller Williams. I was working under a large team, and I was just basically their ISA. So I would call leads for them and set up appointments. And I started realizing like, they're making money. I'm making this much, kind of where I was before. I want to move to something different. So I started looking at different brokerages. I had a couple in mind. I went into C21 Beggins, and I just walked in and I felt great. I met John Lum, and I met a couple of the agents there, and it just felt like a really good fit. I didn't even interview any other brokerages. I was just like, I want to be here. And that's kind of how it started.
It's kind of the gut feel. I remember when you first came over, I remember talking with you when you first started and saying, man, you're spending your whole career, your whole days are prospecting. But that's the toughest thing to do in this business is what you've been doing, right? Is just jumping on the phone and setting appointments. And I said, if you're able to do that, right, wait till you just do that for yourself. And then it just, now the whole business plan changed to how are you going to present and close? Because it's one thing to have the ISA role, which is generate leads and set appointments. But then the whole, as you know now, that there's a whole lot that happens after the appointment happens.
Right.
Once you actually get the thing. So that was kind of the cool learning curve for you. So I want to back up for a second. So go back to were you at Cheesecake Factory from pretty much the whole time you worked from Tampa until you got your real estate license?
Pretty much. I was there for about 7 years.
Okay. And that time goes by quickly.
Yeah.
Were you in executive management or you were serving?
I was serving, but I was a designated trainer. So I got really good shifts. I worked Monday through Friday days. I would train other servers that came in. They offered me management. I didn't want to do it with the schedule that they had.
I do want to point out, though, that if she can teach, if you can learn that menu, which is like 700 pages long at Cheesecake Factory, you can pretty much learn anything.
That's true.
But that's a lifestyle that's addictive too, right? Because the hours are easy to have a nice lifestyle, right? It's cash business. It's good business. It's a very busy restaurant that you were working in. And so it's easy to have 1 year turn into 2, turn into 7, right? Turn into 15, right? Turn into 20, because you see it happen to the people you were working with over there. So something happened that caused you to say, enough's enough, I need to change. What happened? Because other than the guy getting his license, there must have been other thoughts there. So what was kind of some drive to cause you to make that change?
I guess I just really wanted more. I just felt like I had bought my first house, and I loved it. And I was like, now that I've reached that goal, I think I can do more. Like I kind of had always been into the goal setting, but they were small. Like I never really thought really big, and just seeing that I could accomplish certain things in life, even small things, I was like, well, maybe I can do something bigger. Maybe I should do this. I'm just going to try it. What's the harm?
That's what most people don't want to take.
And it has a safety net, because you knew that, did you completely quit that job to do real estate, or did you keep that job and still start real estate?
Yeah, I did it part-time in the beginning, and then I felt like if I keep this part-time, I'm never going to be able to really do real estate if I always have that backup.
Same situation we had with Kalani. We were talking with one of the last podcasts that we did. It's hard to straddle two decisions, right? It's hard to try it part-time and decide to be really good. You really can't. Now, what you can do is you can sell yourself on the idea, because once you're kind of part-time toes in the water, as long as you could see some success, then you can build yourself up to the confidence to make that leap and say, I got to go. But you always knew, worst case scenario, you can go get that job back or go work in another place if you had to. So you did have that. But the lifestyle choices were the big difference there. Mm-hmm. So you left there, which was a good job. I mean, ISA, you're constant leads. You always have stuff to do, and you always have calls to make. So to make that decision was a little bit of a stretch too, because now you're into the unknown. Right. And I think you felt that we were not going to let you fall, even if this is the stuff you didn't know, because you're surrounded by people that cared about you, right? So how did your new business career start? So here you are, you've got phase 1 of the business down. You know how to prospect and generate appointments. So how did you do as a brand new agent? What were some doubt, fears, and anxieties and stumbling blocks you hit when you first started?
I think it was once I got the appointment, I had to actually go on the appointment and know the scripts and know what to say and be able to answer those questions. Even in the listing agreement, what does this mean? What is it? I had to really learn that. Whereas before, I would just make the appointment and someone else would go on it. In the beginning, I started working with Jessica, and that was kind of nice too, because we were both somewhat new, but we both had strengths and weaknesses in different areas. So we could kind of fall back on each other. We could go door knocking together, and it just made it a little bit easier to kind of start that way.
I want to go back to that because I think it's really important, and I think it helped both of your careers a lot because you didn't team up, right? You thought about teaming up. Remember, you were going to joke around, you were going to be the salt and pepper team, all the other things you had around. But really what you became was accountability partners. And I think that worked out really well because talk to people what you did. You guys held each other accountable, and you said, we're going to come to the office and we're going to do things till a certain time. And you gave each other a lot of crap if you didn't show up, which you felt like you left the other one down. So how important was that? Because that worked for a while. I mean, the two of you really did that, and you were dedicated until you weren't. But I think that until you weren't part was when you felt comfortable you could do things on your own. So go back to that period and look back and see, how do you think that helped you?
So we would have a period of time. We'd be like, okay, we're going to meet at the office at 8 o'clock. We're going to start our phone calls, and we're not allowed to get up until each of us makes 20 contacts or whatever it was set for that day. So sometimes it would take an hour and a half. Sometimes it would be 3 hours. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And you just dial. And that person sitting across from you would make sure that you did it, and I think that really helped. And I think we still kind of have that. We still call each other. I actually called her yesterday, especially with trying to get each other motivated with social media. I was like, hey, I haven't seen any posts in a while. And she's like, yeah, I know. I'm going to post something today. She's like, it has been a while, and vice versa. So, and there are a couple agents in our office that we do that with each other.
That's something that I really believe is important because when you were in ISA world, you had people telling you what to do. You had to make those phone calls. You had to hit that time period because that was your job, right? To do it. And then you enter the independent contractor world. Now, all of a sudden, you're your own boss. If you slept in, no one's going to yell at you. We might give you a little bit of up, but no one's going to yell at you because that's your prerogative. And then so you were able to fall into that independent contractor trap where you didn't have to do anything. So you guys called each other out on your crap and said, you need to come in and make things happen, which I know really worked. You guys got a couple good listings together. I remember you had $1 million listing. You got some other good ones together, and it helped. So what was the evolution? Because I know that there were times you guys didn't do it, because I remember coaching with you both, going through the issues and the excuses as to why you didn't do the contacts. Because it's tough. It's tough to keep that consistency up on a day in, day out basis until you started getting some goals. So talk about you, because I know you're very goal-oriented now, things that you want to do. So what happened to you? Let's talk about the progression on your career to where you are today. So what happened from the time you were standing together with accountability to where you are now?
Well, like you said, doing our dream board every quarter really helps. I have everything I want to do, my vacations, the cars I want to buy, and I keep checking them off the box. And the only way I can do that is if I keep my business going. I think a big part of our company that really helps is our hot sheet. When I look at the daily hot sheet and I'm not on there, I'm like, oh God, I got to do something. I got to go out. I got to send out flyers. I got to call people. I got to call my past clients. I have to door knock, whatever it is, because I see people on there and I'm like, oh, they're doing something. I better be doing something too.
Secret. That's why we do it.
So for those who aren't with our company, talk about the hot sheet and what that is and what do you think? Why do we do it?
Okay, well, two things. One, our agents do a transaction. It's in .loop, and they submit for review. And then our compliance team does everything else. We update the MLS. We do all this stuff. We put it in C21 back office system called Dash. And then one of our agents helped us out and wrote a program. And C21 gave us a special feed. every morning at 8 o'clock, they send us a feed of what we put into Dash yesterday. And then that gets printed into a format, and it comes out and says, hot sheet for today. And actually, I probably showed you. It said today, I think it was 15. We had 15 new sales. We had like 6 new listings and 10 closings yesterday. And then below that, it says new listing, Susie with Zigman, listed 123 Any Street for this much money. And it calls out individually the agents who did it. And if we're allowed to disclose the price, it discloses the price. And then the closings, of course. Susie had a closing at 123 Any Street for X amount of dollars. So that's my favorite thing of the day too. The rest of my mood for the rest of the day is determined by what that hot sheet. Because sometimes I think the lowest we've ever had is like 4 or 5, but we had 25 on Monday.
But that's only recently with all this COVID. And I think that's a huge motivator now too. Even with what's going on, our market is still really strong. And I try to explain that to my out-of-state buyers because they're like, well, you know, on a national level, and I'm like, you can't relate Tampa to a national level. We're a different entity.
Or the hot sheet.
No, I want to touch on something real quick though, because I think you kind of passed over it, but the accountability part of this, not only to you and Jessica, but even with what you're doing with the hot sheet, is something that I think everyone needs to take a look at. It's subtle, but the reality is we do this in many aspects of our life. If you are finding yourself, those watching, where you're not able to get to where you want to be, try holding yourself accountable to somebody else. There's a lot of us have a difficult time only being accountable to ourselves. We need to be accountable to someone else, and then you go to a whole new level. It's the reason that you hire a trainer when you go to the gym. Most people, you could watch a YouTube video on how to lift properly, right? But you want someone that's there that's saying, hey, you better be here at Monday at 8 a.m. to do this workout, right? And then we're going to do this prescribed workout, and they're holding you accountable. It's why you find more success when you use someone like that. You're doing the same thing, right? You've discovered, you're self-aware enough to know that, hey, you know what? If I really want to make sure that I'm posting consistently, which you've been doing a great job of recently, if I want to make sure I'm doing those things, I need to hold myself accountable, not just to myself, but I need somebody else to be accountable for that. And so it's a little nuance that I think you're just doing, but it's something that really is a strategy, and you're probably doing it somewhere else in your life. And so that hot sheet is now serving as that, where it's motivating you because you're now accountable to make sure you're on there and to make sure Craig doesn't cry in the afternoon. So, but that's just a subtle nuance that I want to point out.
I don't cry. I just call all the agents. What the hell are you working on?
What are you doing with your life?
So talk about how you grew, how your business kind of evolved. Who were you calling? What were you calling? And then where's your business evolved to today? Like your sources of business. So let's go back to the beginning when you first came on here. What was your MO? Who were you calling? 20 contacts a day to who and to what and for why?
So I really liked working expired listings. So that was a huge part of my business in the beginning. That was where a lot of my phone calls were kind of focused on. But I did just listed, I did just sold calls, and not even on listings that I sold, just within our company. And I would just call that neighborhood. I would call, if we were doing an open house, anything like that. I would just call anybody pretty much, but really expired listings.
Well, we'll pause that because it wasn't just anybody, because I remember there's some strategy behind this. We were talking about how we wanted to have a higher price point because there's Tampa's a big area. South Tampa, where this office is a smaller area, but inside of South Tampa are pockets of really nice neighborhoods that are really nice areas, right? So you didn't have a listing in, say, Bayshore Beautiful. You would print out everything in the areas of where you want it to go to be, and then you would focus on just Bayshore Beautiful. You'd take a listing in the office that was in the neighborhood that you wanted. You started calling the area and telling people about that piece of property, because that created new listings in that marketplace for you. They raised your price point, which gave you your own things to do open houses for, which raised buyers into that price point. So I think for those who are watching, I think that there was a very good strategy behind that, and it wasn't just random calls, because random calls are hard to do anymore. Right. And it's just really niching down.
So, Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we would do. We would just find something that had recently sold, make sure we had all the details on it, because if people did ask us questions, we had to make sure we knew what that house, the square footage, how many bedrooms, what it sold for, price per square foot. And, you got a lot of people that would hang up on you, but there was a couple yeses in there. I think the average was around, I think we figured it out one day, it was like 12 or 13 no's to finally get to a yes. And I did get a lot of appointments that way. I mean, I had one guy tell me not to even show up because there was an agent that had 20 years of experience, and I still showed up and I got the listing.
I remember that.
That's because he gave you the challenge and you were not going to lose, because that's just your personality style, which is awesome. All right. So what else started working for you?
I would say door knocking worked a lot. I think calling my past clients, once I started selling, I had, a series of past clients that I could call. I had a couple closings this month that were a referral from a past client. I had one gentleman in the beginning of the year that I had sold a house to last year. He wanted to sell that house, and then he bought another house, and his brother bought a house with me. So once you start building a past client basis, it kind of helps.
It makes a big difference. And then your organizational skills have gone through the roof over the last couple of years.
Oh, I said they're getting better.
Yes, they're getting better. Now, goals. Let's talk about the title is Happy Agent, right? So rather than just shotgunning business and taking it here and there where you can get it, and you're a little bit more deliberate about where you're getting business now, what are you doing this for? Like, what's success in Susie's world? Like, what are the next levels that you're working towards right now? And then what's the strategy that we're working on to make sure that we get that?
So I've been looking into investing into real estate, buying my own investment properties, building like a rental portfolio. I would like to build my own custom home. So that's part of my primary aim, which I was working on yesterday. And just what it would look like, what my perfect home would look like, where it would be located. So that's kind of my next level. Also, I've kind of started organizing my business where before I would, if a client called me, I would be like, okay, I'll show up, at any time. Whereas now, if I have time scheduled with my son or my family, I'm like, listen, we can meet here or here at this time, but I have something time blocked right there. I already have an appointment, which has really helped focus, what I'm doing this for is, to have a good life with my family.
That's probably one of the biggest shifts. And Craig, I know you and I talk about this a lot, is when agents get to the point of realizing their value, right? And what's happened to you is before that, you would take whatever came because you had some type of a scarcity mindset that I don't know where the next one's going to come or if it's going to come. So yes, I'd like to do something with my son, but that's a $400,000 sale. I'm taking the sale because I don't know when and where the other one's coming from, right? Which is a natural fear factor based thing, because that's just how the brain works. Until you get to the point where you're so confident in your ability that you're like, I know I can go get a deal this week. If I have to get another listing this week, I know how to do it. You know how to do it. You know how to call expireds. You know how to call FSBOs. You know how to beat down doors. You know how to work your past clients. You know how to post social. You now are comfortable and you're confident and you're competent, which creates the abundance feelings rather than a scarcity feeling. So now it's just, you're not attached to the outcome. Because if you want to go and do something with your son and somebody says that's the only time I can see houses, you're going to say, have fun. Let me give you to one of my colleagues because I just cannot make it during that period of time. And you're not fearful of losing that deal anymore. And then now that you actually know 99 out of 100 times, they're going to say, okay, I'll wait for you. Because the other benefit is they know that you have value because you've just shown you have value and you're in demand and you've got other things to do, which means you're not desperate. So which kind of has a scarcity effect on the buyers and the sellers, and they want to actually work for you. So it's interesting to watch that progression with agents. And once you realize the value, everything changes. So let's talk about your attraction strategy now. And before you're having to bang on doors and you have to go out there and actually put yourself out there, now you're getting repeat and referral business. You're doing a little bit of reload business, which builds up your transaction base as well. Now, why did you determine and when did you start playing with social? You're doing some fun things on it right now. Talk to us a little about why did you decide to really pick that up, and what are you doing and how is it working for you?
So I realized that I had a huge fear on social media, and also with the COVID-19, nobody really wants you knocking on their door. I'm still going to knock on doors. It's just right now it's kind of on delay. So I was like, how else can I reach these people? You know, there's a bunch of people out there and they're sitting at home, and what are they doing? They're scrolling through their phones. So they have to see you. They have to see that you're still working and still selling, and you can do things virtually. And I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from it. And I've gotten a couple people reaching out to me and saying, hey, you know, I am looking to buy a home, but, you know, maybe in the future. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that could happen through social media. I was so focused on, you know, what the usual stuff was. You know, I just felt like it was not my realm and I couldn't do it. And then I was like, well, let me see what I can post out there, but I want to do my personality. I want to do funny stuff too, because I feel like that shows who I am.
Well, that's the biggest shift I've seen with you. I think it's funny because when you would knock on the door, I think you would just be you. But when you thought about social, it was like, oh, I have to be this buttoned up version of myself, and I can't let anyone know that, you know, who I am and that I like to have fun. Because, you know, for those of you that don't know Susie, she is probably one of the funniest people you'll ever meet. You know, she reminds me, she's like the female version of Will Ferrell. Like, you just never know. You know, she's probably going to say something funny and random, but you just never know. But she is a great agent on top of it. And so I think you were nervous that if you showed too much of the comedic side, that no one would take you seriously.
Right.
But the reality is, those that know you know you're good at what you do. And I think you've started to find the balance of, hey, I can be myself. I can be funny. I can put these posts out there, but then I can balance that with a recent sold and, hey, I just helped these people, and put some case studies out there that also say, hey, I like to have fun, right? But I also know what I'm doing. And so, you know, you're basically a tuxedo t-shirt. You know, you like to have fun, but you're formal at the same time. So, you know, that's honestly, though, it's been a major breakthrough for you. And I've seen, you know, it's because social is something that needs to be layered in, right? Unless you're going to run Facebook ads and build out a full funnel, social is really not a main strategy for 99% of people, because they don't have the skill set to do that. But when they have your skill set and you're not afraid to go knock on doors, and then you layer in that level of communication and being able to show yourself in a digital world too, you just have the ability now to go to a whole new place in your business. So I'm super excited for you, but you have done an excellent job recently. I've seen you've been very consistent and and putting out some funny stuff. So if you don't follow Susie, you need to. We'll put links to all of her platforms in the description below, so make sure you check that out.
And what's funny about that, my wife's from Germany, and every time Susie comes up in conversation, she starts laughing with your name, because your name in German, it's just funny person, right? So,
Really?
Yeah, so just by nature, and that's just kind of instilled. And to tag on to what Puma's talking about, you finally realize that you don't have to be anything but you, right? And it's attract or repel. And your personality is like, I don't care if you don't like me, go, right? And then but you realize you have such a great following on social. The reason why is because they like you. They don't like a fake version of you. I mean, you have an inflatable duck on your bookcase, for God's sakes, right? You're a unique person, right? This is just you. So when they're going to show houses with you, it's going to be a fun experience. They're going to crack up. They're going to enjoy the process. But those people who don't like that will not be attracted to you. And you just don't care, which is fantastic, because there's no reason If they call you, they're going to get you. And if they don't want you, they're never going to call you because you put you out there. And that's why you're starting to love this business so much even more now, because those who are coming to you like you. And they are coming to you, not because of your stellar real estate knowledge. You've got amazing real estate knowledge, but they're coming to you because they assume you have great real estate knowledge because you're a licensed professional. You're with a great company. You got everything going for you there, but they like you and they want the experience of you. And then once you finally said, bring it on, here's what I am. Please scroll by if you don't like me, because if you're going to be a boring person that doesn't like my style, I don't want to spend any time with you, right? And it's great. So that's what's fun about it. So what are you working towards now? What are the next things? You got the house, you got a nice car, you've got nice savings. I know we're talking about investment properties, and it's kind of bite-sized. I remember we were talking towards when we were making that final award push at the end of the year. We were talking about why, right? Because you didn't have to do the extra business because you had enough money. You didn't really have to. But I remember we were going on to the MLS. I said, let's go find a duplex. Let's find the best buy on a duplex right now that's on the market. Call your lender, find out how much money you have to put down, and there's your goal. Right? And I think we came down as 40-something thousand bucks or something like that. So this is what I want to figure out with you, is get to that point. Because I think what this last COVID scenario really brought out, and I bring this up every time and I'm going to, is I need to make sure that everybody that's watching is paying attention to stockpiling resources and cash that will get you through an unforeseen black swan crisis that may or may not come in the future, guys. I want you need to have 6, 8 months, 9 months, a year worth of savings or liquidity, that if something, God forbid, like this happened again and it was worse, that you could be okay, right? And we're so fortunate, you could throttle this thing down, and in the month of June, which we're not in yet, you can go make 40 grand. You can go make 50 grand because you know how to do it. You would tailor your activities to a certain street or neighborhood or 2 or 3, and you get out there and go do it. And you know how. But I want to make sure that this why becomes so big that when you have free time, you're going to do nothing but that, because I really want everybody we're associated with, everybody in B3 Nation, the whole tribe that we have here, that's your why right now. Go stockpile cash, because you can take advantage of opportunities when they come. You can buy some rental properties. Those things will pay for themselves with you. You can be sitting on liquid assets, buy some gold, buy some Bitcoin, do what you want to do with things that are liquid, and just really start thinking about that investment side of that world. So with that aside, what else are some exciting things that you're working for?
Well, I mean, I was trying to book a trip to Europe this year. Of course, that was put on hold, but that's one of my biggest things, is I want to do a couple trips to Europe. And I know it's not cheap, and I would have to be able to take that time off. And like I said, I have been looking at purchasing a lot and building my own home, and just kind of making it a little bit bigger, making what I want. Those are pretty much my main goals right now. I love to travel, so being able to do that and go to the places that I want to do are very important. And within the last couple of years, I've done some really cool traveling, and I've done things that I didn't think I'd be able to do. So it's just gotten progressively better. Every year, it's like, I feel like I can think just a little bit bigger. Like before, you'd be like, oh, well, you're thinking small. You know, when you're traveling, you want the limo, you want the private jet. It's like, that's ridiculous. But now I feel like I'm starting to get closer to that level of thinking where, you know, maybe he is right. Maybe he's not crazy. I could get a private jet and go to New Zealand, you know, and do something like that.
I love that.
Oh,
I think that I want to touch on something though too, because I know I'm in a similar boat. How much time, obviously pre-COVID, did you spend with your son at a baseball field?
Oh, let's see. I mean, sometimes it was 12 hours a day on Saturday and Sunday. And then practice was a couple hours twice a week. So almost 30 hours maybe a week, plus in the backyard, just practicing out there with him. You know, we had batting cages in our backyard, making sure he was doing that. A lot of time.
But if you didn't do it, would you miss it? Have you missed it over COVID?
I have. I've missed the games, but we still go in our backyard. I still make sure he hits off the tee. You know, we have a pitching machine. You know, he practices pitching. We have little weight sets that he can use to make sure he stays in shape. But I miss the whole team sport, going there and watching his team play and cheering them on.
Absolutely. So the point I'm getting at, because I'm the same way, right? My son's travel team finally just started practicing again last weekend, and so I'm pumped about that. But I think the point I want to make here is there are a lot of people that haven't hit your level yet. They're not thinking about the private jet yet, but even those little things, right? Your ability to create a business that puts you in control, to be able to say, you know what, I am going to spend 12 hours in Plant City at a travel tournament with my son because I love it, and I love being able to sit there and watch it uninterrupted without worrying about a sale falling through or anything else, is a place that is not easy to get to, right? But it makes you happy, and you've built a business that allows you to do it. So for a lot of people, and it doesn't have to be baseball, start with practicality. Start with what you really love to do. I love to be on a baseball field with my boys, right? So I have to do things that put me in a position that creates a framework that allow that to happen, starting with scheduling, right? I've got to make sure that I still have all the stuff I've got to get done, but I've got to get it done in a time frame that makes sense, which means some nights I stay up way later. Some nights, some mornings I'm up super early. But that creates the framework that allows me to do the things that make me happy, right? And you're doing that too, and you've built a business that has allowed you to do that. So for those watching, that's what your business needs to be built around. It needs to be built around creating a framework that allows you to do the things that really make you happy. And if that's buying a private jet and flying to Sweden, that's awesome. But it might just be being able to go to every single one of your kids' dance recitals. It might be coaching your kid 5 days a week, right? Whatever the little thing is too, that you might not be able to do unless you purposely build a business and create a schedule that allows you to do it. So I want to point that out too, because the big goals are awesome, but so are the little ones.
Mm-hmm.
And building a listing focused business is the one that gives you the flexibility, because
Correct.
You don't drive the buyers around. The buyers are coming to see your inventory. So that's another thing I know you've been spending some focus on there too. And it's great. It's all about the experiences. I'm excited to watch the evolution of you, because I remember the very, very beginning, the ISA version of you, and then to see the one that what you're doing now with the house you have, and just the experiences, and just the income that you have, and the comfort that you feel, to know that you can provide for yourself and your family. It makes me proud to see you do that. So that's awesome.
Susie, is this year 4 or 5 right now?
Almost year 5. So 2 more months will be 5 years.
Right. It's
So,
a long way to come in 5 years.
yeah, it is. And I was just looking, I've been keeping track of how much money I've made each year. And this is the most money I've ever made. It's the most money I've ever been able to save in my life. And it's really, really exciting just seeing. I was even looking at my old vision boards, and to see like my old vision boards and what I've done and how they progress too throughout the years. I was like, oh my gosh, like now things are getting bigger and whatnot. I still have the little stuff on there too, but it's just crazy to see that evolution.
Didn't you think we were crazy when we had you do a vision board?
Yes.
Everybody does. But you walk through our offices and you'll see vision board, vision board, vision board, vision board.
That's important. I think, I have it on my desk at work. I have it at my house. You know, I have a little mini one on my phone. So just to be able to constantly see it, it's just a reminder.
It's a reminder when the days are hot and you don't really feel like it, you realize that you really want to spend some time and build some experiences with your son. And, maybe it is chartering a plane to go down to the Bahamas for a weekend. It might cost you an extra 10 grand, but so what? You know how to go to make an extra 10 grand. Go do it, right? So when it's exciting to you, you just go, you'll make it happen. That's what's so, guys, everybody watching, I want you to just take a second to be grateful that we're in an industry, in an area, in an economy, in an industry, right? That we have the ability to go pull an extra 50, 100 grand out this quarter if we're willing to go to work, right? We're lucky. We're very, 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 very fortunate to be able to do what we do. And I think sometimes we take that for granted. And then looking back at the vision boards, what were stretch goals for you 3-4 years from now are like, oh my God, I can't believe I was even questioning when I could do that. And now the stretch goals you think about today are going to be the same thing 5 years from now. The challenge that I see is most people don't take the time to even put the stretch goals out, and therefore they never hit it because there's no reason to go do it because it's too hot, right? So you've done a very good job keeping yourself motivated towards things. And for that, I think it's going to be a really great inspiration to those people who are watching on this today. So excellent. So parting thoughts from you, Susie, to those watching, those who are maybe struggling a little bit or know that they can do more, but they're just not, what would you tell them?
I would say don't be afraid to fail. I feel like I've failed a lot in this business. I'll look back and I'm like, oh, I didn't follow up with this person and they bought. Or I was really bad on the listing presentation and they listed with someone else. But whenever those things happen, I reach out and I'm like, well, why did you choose the other agent? And I just try to get better and better. And I think that's really huge, is just always keep growing. And you know, like even with me in social media, I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. But I was like, you know what? I need to do this. It's going to help me, you know, just always feel like you can, you know, get better and grow and learn from other people. I learn from everyone.
I think that's awesome. Very good. Craig, parting words?
I just was thinking that she's got that little bit of tough New Yorker. I think it's probably a good benefit from you having that New Yorker in you, just to say what you just said, you know? It's okay to not win if you learn from it. And you're just such a strong person. We're so proud of you and glad to have you on the team.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know, obviously, Susie, I love you as an agent. I love you as a person. But, you know, I think you're spot on. Don't be afraid to fail. I tell my kids all the time, you're either winning or learning, right? There is actually no losing because they're still playing the game, right? And that's what I try and drive the passion is don't play this game just for the outcome of winning. Play it because you love to play the game. And the fact that you got to play, win or lose, is a win in itself. And I think you've kind of developed into that, and we've watched that evolution. And so, you know, I've personally referred business to you because I know that I know they'll take care of you, and I know you'll take care of them. So that's it. I love you, and I'm so happy you're part of the team.
Thank you.
You said I love you like 3 or 4 times there. That's pretty cool.
I do. I love that duck too.
It's okay.
It looks like it's sitting on her shoulder.
Like a pirate.
That one before it gets a little deeper into that conversation.
I had a Century 20 meeting start 24 minutes ago. I had to jump in with our artificial intelligence she is going to do.
Do it. Awesome. Susie, thank you for taking time with us.
Thank you.
Thank you to the agents.
Bye.
You guys, talk to you soon.
Bye.
One shot, now the future is yours.